Hi everybody, Dan Ullman, Matt Bernier, the DRF.com Formulator Race of the Day for Sunday, August the 13th, race number 8 at Emerald Downs. Let's take a look at the field for the signature race of the year at Emerald, the Grade 3 Longacres Mile. $200,000 is the purse. Matt, we've got a full field. We've got the defending champion and the number 2 Point Piper. And for the folks at home, you got free Formulator Pass performances if you head on over to the Race of the Day event page on DRF.com. Wide open race.
Yeah, it really is. I suppose this is one of those instances, though. You actually have the winner of each of the past 2 Longacres miles in here, including Striker PhD. There's just a part of me that feels like each one of those horses, maybe we're starting to see them lose a little bit on the fastball.
I agree there. I think you want a horse with upside in this race. Those horses have reputations, they have connections, they have things to recommend them. They're going to take a lot of money, but I'm with you. I wonder if those 2 horses, and we'll get to them in post-position order in a minute, I wonder if those 2 have seen slightly better days. The one Bestraya was second in one of the local prep races, the Mount Rainier, on July the 16th, and I thought he ran just fine in that race. I wonder if my problem with Bestraya is I remember Bestraya from Southern California, and I just have always thought of him as a mediocre optional claimer. He's run well with these new connections.
Yeah, he's run well enough. I have no real knocks against him. I suppose the thing for me, though, if I look at that local prep, the Mount Rainier, I know he ran second. I think he was 3rd best in there. I think Barkley had some legitimate issues where he wasn't able to get out and run. I think if he were able to, he would have been the one that probably would have run second. Because of that, I don't want him.
Trainer Robert Gilker won this race in 2013 with her BD. Bestraya has been solid since coming under Gilker's tutelage. The number 2 is Point Piper. He won this race last year. It's his most recent win. He has taken on tough competition. Heck, 2 starts back, he was in the Grade 1 Triple Bend down at Santa Anita. I'm not going to hold the last race against him. He was on a synthetic surface. He didn't have to like that, and obviously you don't hold the Triple Bend against him. It's just that when he was good, he was never one of my favorites, and I wonder, at the age of 7, after 31 starts, if again he's lost a little bit of zip off the fastball.
I will say, this is probably where he belongs, though, against this kind of company where it's obviously not world beaters, but he still needs to run a decent enough race. If you think that he can find some sort of a low to mid 90 buyer still, then yeah, I mean, he fits in here. I picked him 4th. I feel like people are going to see Hollendorfer. He's won this race in the past. I just don't want him.
Welcome back to the Pacific Northwest, the number 3 Gold Rush Dancer. He was one of the better 2-year-olds at Emerald Downs in 2015. He went down to California. He really was the scourge of the Calbreds for a while last year, winning on both turf and dirt, route and sprint. It's the 3rd start of the form cycle, and I thought his last race, the Bertrando, was okay behind Ambitious Brew. I think he's a sneaky contender in here.
Yeah, he ran just fine that day. Like you say, Ambitious Brew, hard-hitting old boy, and he's okay. He's mostly a downhill turfer, but he's okay at Los Alamitos. Magic Mark is a nice sort of allowance, lower tiered sort of stakes horse. This horse makes a lot of sense. Highest last out buyer, highest last out time form US rating. I won't be surprised at all if this horse runs well.
Number 4 is Black Sona. This is an Oklahoma bred. And we have a positive formulator fact for his trainer, David Martinez. Over the past 5 years, with older horses making the first start off the trainer switch, 23% a solid ROI. This horse has some work to do from a buyer speed figure perspective, from a class perspective, but at a big price, you can maybe try to sneak him into the number with that formulator fact.
And you know what? His 2 dirt routes haven't been bad. He won one of them and he ran second by nose in the other one. I just think he's a little slow.
Papa Frank, 4th in the Mount Rainier. He was chasing that pace, and I thought that pace was solid. Maybe not spectacular, but certainly a solid pace. It was an even performance for Papa Frank. It's just that he hasn't reached the winner's circle in over a year now.
It's hard for me to make a case for this one on top. You do see, though, 16 times 2nd or 3rd from 29 lifetime starts. Maybe he's one to key underneath.
Seattle Serenade was bred to be a nice horse, to be sure. It's a shame that sort of injuries and fits and starts have compromised him. He's 5 years old. He's only gone to the post 8 times for Jerry Hollendorfer. He got away with kind of a nice, easy lead last time out at Oak Tree at Pleasanton, but he finished it off very nicely, and he can be close to the pace. Hollendorfer won this race last year with Point Piper. I think he's bringing a live one in with Seattle Serenade.
He was cut out to be a really nice horse, and then unfortunately he had a really, really terrible injury that put him away for more than a year. It's nice to see that he still has a little bit of run in him. We're never going to be able to know what he could have ultimately become. I think he fits in here, though.
Dedicated to You was 7th in this race last year behind Point Piper, then went to the sidelines. This is his 3rd race back, and I just haven't seen that improvement this year.
Yeah, I suppose you're just going to take him back and try to make one run, hope that they heat up front, and then you can kind of just eat up and pick up some pieces. I don't like him.
Striker PhD, he won this race in 2014. He won this race in 2015. He was still good in 2016. He was a graded stakes winner over the synthetic at Golden Gate. He won the Berkeley Handicap. I wonder how you want to look at his form. Even though he won that Berkeley Handicap, I don't really think he's a synthetic horse. He's run on turf. He sprinted last time out in a race, which was just a prep. I think that was a sneaky late run for Striker PhD. I agree with you that at 8, at the price he's going to be, he's probably going to take a good amount of sentimental money at least. I can't take him. But I wonder if maybe Larry Ross has played this right, and he's sort of circled this race since the beginning of the year.
And you could easily make the case, like you say, that he's a little bit dirtied up. You use that sprint race, he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want a turf, he doesn't really want synthetic. You take all those out, you're left with a 94 buyer winning a state-bred race at Emerald Downs last year. So, yeah, 95 certainly wins this race.
Let's talk about Mach 1 rules. I think a lot of folks were questioning the distance last time out. He answered that. No sweat. It was a really rock-solid prep from a horse that's usually right in the thick of things.
He figures to work at a decent enough trip. Okay, he popped back to his left lead late, but you know what? That was at 8.5. You're going to go 8 here in this spot. He has versatility. He can be forward. He can sit just off, as he showed in that most recent start. He's probably not interesting in here, but I think he's one of the likelier winners.
I've always been a fan of Chief of Staff. He's often a bridesmaid and never a bride. Lots of second and third place finishes compared to wins. You can't argue with the competition he's been in against. He had no shot in the Churchill Downs. He had no shot in the Count Fleet Sprint. The race 3 starts back, a 96 buyer speed figure, albeit sprinting. Do you think he's a better sprinter?
Yeah, kind of, and that's probably one of my knocks here. The other thing, too, is even with this additional distance, I don't know where he's going to be positioned because he's been forward in sprints. He's been just off the pace in sprints. I would assume you want to use some of that early speed.
Barkley was such a good 3-year-old at Emerald Downs last year. His record is enviable. 7 wins from 11 starts. He's only been off the board once in his career, and that was sprinting where he had trouble 2 starts back. This is a very lively contender.
Yeah, he's a nice horse. He's an honest horse, and nobody's going to mistake him for a superstar, but he's a nice sort of fan favorite. I have to be honest, of the Mountain Rainier, other than the horse that won Mach 1 rules, I think he was easily second best. He was stuck in behind horses on the far turn, waited, finally got out, came with his run, flattened out a little bit. I think the turn back to a mile helps.
Let's see if we agree with the Timeform US pace projector for this race. We've got 10, 6, and 9 out there. I guess I can see, Chief of Staff trying to make the front, showing that stretch out speed. I would love for this pace projector to be right. I think Seattle Serenade would sit a great spot, and if you think the Chief of Staff doesn't stay, Seattle Serenade will have a great chance turning into the stretch.
Absolutely, but this is part of the reason that I brought up. I don't know what they're going to do with Chief of Staff because he certainly has the ability to make the front if they want. I just don't know that that's really the right play.
Horse on the far outside to Grandma's House We Go. I think it's a pretty good sprinter. I think you stretch him out and it gets a little bit dicey.
Yeah, I think that most recent start was case in point. His runs prior to that 2 and 3 starts back, you've got mid to high 80s. You stretch him out, he just doesn't cut the mustard.
Every year it seems the Longacres Mile is a really great betting race. No exception this year with a full field. Let's see where we're going with our top selections. You're going with the number 9, Mach 1 Rules.
Yeah, again, probably not an interesting pick. I just like what he did last time. He was really very confidently ridden throughout, gave him a couple taps, he went on, popped to the left lead late, but I think the turn back to a mile and that sort of tactical speed, I think it's going to help him.
Give me numbers.
9, 11, 6, 2.
You're going with the really ultra-consistent number 9, Mach 1 Rules. Seattle Serenade's got to show he can step at Emerald Downs. I'm going to trust Hollendorfer. I'm going to trust his tactical speed. And as Matt mentioned, he really said it all. He was cut out to be a nice horse. And maybe he can start fulfilling his potential belatedly as a 5-year-old. 6-10-3 for me in the Grade 3 Longacres Mile. And if you are betting the Sunday Emerald card from home, you've got several stakes races, all stakes pick 4 that we'll be covering on video.drf.com. You get a 10% win place takeout on 10 select tracks all summer long if you sign up to DRF Bets, plus a $300 cash bonus. Learn more at drf.com/take10. An approximate post time for the mile. Race number 8 at Emerald on Sunday, 5:39 Pacific. Good luck.